those are the two guys that built this program, and also the Wisp that I'm talking about. We would set up antennas and routers and routing and all those types of things, and as a consequence of that, we were fully deploying apartment buildings around the state of, well, actually around the city of Fort Worth, and also we had some work that we were doing in Tampa, Florida. We were doing the stuff in Fort Worth when somebody came up to us and said, you know, if you can do this for apartment buildings and those types of things, maybe you ought to be providing service to residential locations outside of town. Because at the time, there wasn't any internet service out there. I mean, there wasn't, satellite wasn't reliable, there wasn't any cable internet service, and so basically we had this massive markets that were just fully free of any internet service, and these were expensive markets. Very high dollar houses, you know, houses ranging in the range of, I don't know, from $300,000 to $101.3 million, and they just didn't have any internet service. And so we deployed basically with a little bit of equipment that was currently on the market, and we also had a contact in China. One of our business partners was a contact in China, and so we bought some equipment and we deployed antennas on top of towers, on water towers, and some of the towers that we actually built, we deployed antennas on those, and we put in all the infrastructure to have a multi-point service. So basically you have an antenna, and it's just like your cell phone. It's broadcasting basically in all the directions depending on how many antennas you have, and you're able to get internet service at your residence with the equipment that we would put on their roof and then run cables and so forth into their house. So we, for example, we did hidden lakes in South Fort Worth. There were roughly 350 houses in that district, and when we got finished with that after 2 or 3 years of deployment, we had basically 100 houses in there that we were providing internet service to from one tower that we had that had backhaul connections all the way back out to the internet. So from the house, you have your computer, it goes to a router, it goes to the little device on the roof that has the radio connections. It radioed that back to a tower, and then from the tower, we hopped that back through multiple towers and then got finally to the internet. At the time, we were able to provide roughly half a meg up and a full meg down. And in 2003, if you didn't have any internet service, that was quite a remarkable feat. So we did that from 2003 to 2010. So basically that is the evolution of the Wisp that we have. We sold our Wisp to Jab Wireless in 2010, but in about 2004, 2005, we realized that we were having a very serious time understanding what our network was doing. We didn't know when components were going down. We had no notifications, and so come in on a Monday morning and find 30 phone calls that say, hey, we haven't had internet service since, you know, Sunday at 6 when that storm came through. And so what we started to do is we created a product called Wisp Monitor, so wireless internet service provider monitoring. So that's where we got Wispmon from. And so in 2003, 2004, we built our own software. Both Cameron and I are software developers. And so we built our own software that basically was centered around maps. I haven't released my Windows, sorry about that, that are centered around maps, and they show you on the map where your network components are, where the towers are, where the routers are, where the backhaul links are, and all of the network components that are associated with your network are displayed on these maps. So now, when we had some sort of network outage, we lose a tower because of electricity, or get some sort of surge in the electrical line, and we lose a couple of networks, then what would happen is it would text us messages that say, we've lost this connection. And so we were basically principally centered around map-type centric services, because if you can't see the house from the tower, the odds are you're not going to be able to provide service to that location.
Okay.
We did that. We started that program in 2004, and about 2005 or 6, and it was 2005, we went through something called a MikroTik users meeting. That is the low end. At the time, it was the low-end routing systems that had really superb software that would permit you to do all kinds of routing on your network. I mean, it came with a host of tools that were just blow the socks off of Cisco at the time for the price. And so we went to one of these meetings, and Cameron and I were getting some notifications that our network was down, and so we pulled it up in the middle of the meeting, and then pretty soon we had, I mean, it was like feeding time at the, for the chickens. There were people looking over our shoulder. They wanted to know how we were doing that. They wanted the software. So in 2000, and they said, "Can we buy it from you? Can we sign up for that?" So in 2006, we started selling our services basically for WISP monitoring. We tried to implement FreeSide, which is a billing program, into our product, and discovered that FreeSide is not a free application at all. Basically, what it is it's a kind of a getcha, right? We'll charge you a massive amount of money to do the integration on our billing platform, and then we won't charge anything. Well, that's really kind of a lie. It's $2,500 a year for technical support, which you absolutely have to have. We couldn't integrate FreeSide into our stuff. We spent 2 full months trying to integrate it in. We finally threw our arms up in the air and said, well, we're going to build our own billing system. So in 2006, we started creating our own billing system. We were complete with that by about December of 2007. And so since then, we have been adding additional features, capabilities. We now have an inventory management system. We have reporting systems. We have full network monitoring. So any device that you happen to have in a network, if you want to keep historical performance or look at real-time displays, you can look at real-time displays or historical performance basically on any network component that you have in your network. So in many instances, we're as good as or better than some of the tools that are standalone tools out there for doing just those things. We also have scheduling and work orders and trouble tickets. And just in the last year or so, actually the last 7-8 months, we actually completely rewrote our front end, and we've done some upgrading on our back end in that term. And so as a consequence, this is the program that you now see. This program is specifically designed to be the one and only piece of software that you need to have in order to run your wireless business. If you have a wireless internet service business, then this is the one piece of software that will do basically everything. So let's talk about what everything consists of. First of all, it does trouble tickets. It does work orders. It also does sales contacts. So if somebody calls in and says, hey, I'd like to get service on your network, you can type in a few things, a little bit of contact information, and then as you put in the contact information, it's actually doing a calculation, figuring out where you are on the map, and trying to decide which service access points you can get service from. And so it does all of that inherently. So you no longer have to get in the truck, drive out there, stand on the guy's roof, and see if you can actually see a tower. Our program has eliminated the need for site surveys. In addition, you can create so it is also fully responsive. So basically that means that if you're running it on an Android, you can run it on an Android. If you're running it on an iPhone, you can run it on an iPhone. If you want to run it on a tablet, it will run on a tablet. Or, of course, you can run it on, notebooks, computers, laptops, whatever the case might be. It is equipment agnostic. In addition, it's also equipment agnostic depending upon what your network's made out of. There are, there's all different kinds of equipment vendors out there. You can get Ubiquiti, you can get MikroTik, you can get Transio, you can get Cambian, there's just all kinds of different vendors out there that provide different kinds of equipment packages. We are completely equipment agnostic when it comes to your network. We can deal with anything that your network has to provide. Do you need to get that?
It's not me.
No, that was me. I'm sorry. This is Chad.
Hi, Chad. Hey, welcome aboard, man. Didn't know you were online, guy. Okay, so basically what it does then is it provides the ability to be operated in the field. So let's say that you're a one-man crew, right? You've got a small business and you're driving down the road. You get a network notification that says, hey, I've got a problem on our network. You can actually pull off the side of the road. This little guy will help you diagnose what the issue is with your network, and then everybody that's affected by that particular outage will show up on a map, and there'll be little red dots where all the people are that are having trouble. And so from your phone, you can actually text message all of those people and say, I'm headed to the tower now. I'll be, we anticipate return to service in 35 minutes. And so what that does is that, of course, eliminates all of the phone calls to your support center. People in this particular kind of deployment, They don't care that they're off for a half hour, but they do care about whether or not it's their problem or if it's your network problem. So one of the things that we can do is we can text message. We can also email message to your customers very quickly, very efficiently. You can send out 600 text messages in 10 minutes.
Oh, great.
Okay, so let me think here. What other benefits does this program have? It has a fully built-in billing system, and the billing system permits you can bill on an anniversary billing period. So for example, if it's the 13th of every month, and the guy gets installed on the 13th, and his bill can be on the 13th, and it goes forward probably just like your electric bill and probably just like your cable bill. Everybody wants to bill anniversary. But some customers also want to bill on consolidated dates, either the 1st or the 15th, and so it can do both. It can do either and or on anniversary or consolidated billing. It also can do usage-based billing. So we keep track of a whole bunch of information associated with the customer. So for example, in this particular case, the customer might want to know how much transit he's used throughout the billing period. Well, he can log into the portal. He can see his total usage to date. In addition, he can print his invoices and stuff. But as our program, as the service plan starts to get utilized and he starts to get close on his total utilization, total bandwidth utilization, then it will start texting him, giving him messages saying, hey, you're reaching your limit. And so it does that at 50%. I think it's either 70 or 80%, and then it does it at 100%. So we can do usage-based billing. We can also do hotspot billing. So for example, if you have a cafe and along with all of your residential sources, but you've got a cafe that you want to put something like this in, then what it will do is it will also do the hotspot billing inside that cafe as well. So the billing side of this is very robust, very capable, and it's well developed and already in place. There are some other functions that are associated with this plan or program. There's a whole bunch of tools that come with it. But I think what I'm going to do just real briefly is just give you just kind of an overview of how somebody would use this program. We have, as you would expect, users and user roles. So you can create your own user roles like an admin or a Tech 1 or a Tech 2 or phone CSR1, phone CSR2, and you can give them different elements of the application that they're allowed to look at. So for example, in this particular case, I'm an admin on this program, and I have my dashboard fully configured to show me every piece of information that I might need. So here at the top, on top of my dashboard, you can see that I have several financial graphs. And again, let me caveat this just for a minute. We're looking at our development software. I'm pulling this application off of our development server. And so I don't want to bring up any real live application, but they've been working on this pretty robustly for the last, I don't know, month, 2 months, whatever the case might be. There might be some pieces of this that are still broken. And so if I run into a snag, please just kind of overlook it. Give me a, what do they call that? Give me some sort of in bridge. I can't remember what it's called. Okay, so I'm an admin. I'm running this application, and so when I come in the morning, there's several things that I want to see. First of all, just looking around the map or looking around the dashboard, I'm going to open this up just a tad more. Okay, and so looking around the dashboard, I see that I have some sections here that are financial in nature. By the way, you can move these things around. They're kind of clippy sort of tag sort of things. And so you can drag them and drop them however you want them to display. As an admin person, I want to know what the numbers look like. That's what I'm primarily interested in. So as you can see, I've got some triple data here. There usually are 3 lines on this graph, but since we don't really have any ARPU and aren't collecting any revenues, those elements aren't showing up. So what I have here, as you can see, I've got customer counts, and up here at the top right, so I've got multiple different kind of graphs that I can pick, total revenue, aging reports, and as we add additional features in terms of finance, they will just add as different tabs across the top here on that data bar. And so, here's the total revenue. Obviously, I don't have anything in there right now, but that's fine. So this is a quick overview of how much money do I have, how many customers do I have, average return per user, and all of that information is sitting nicely right here. On the right-hand side, I have, these are the daily credit card declines. And so what you can see is if we ran 28 declines, it'll give me a graph and it'll show 28 by 6, showing that we ran 28 credit cards and 6 of them declined. And so you can do something with that. If you know what it is, then you can do something with it. And then we also have sales conversions, and we also have some aging graphs, but I don't have any data to put in there right now. And then up here at the top, this is real-time data. This month-to-date income, that's the money that we have collected on the program, in the program since the beginning, since 12/01 on the first day of the month. If I've been putting checks in, as checks get deposited in here, I will see that the check receipts will increase. Cash receipts, same sorts of things, and credit card and ACH events will show up down here at the back end. So normally we run credit cards at about 2:30 in the morning, and so when the manager comes in, he can look down and he can see exactly how much he's retained in the way of credit card deposits today and quickly identify how many people have been declined on credit cards. When somebody gets declined on a credit card, they automatically receive a notification that says, hey, by the way, your credit card declined, and we'd like you to go to the customer portal, update your credit card with a new expiration date or whatever the case might be, and make a payment. And then if that doesn't happen, then the next day they are charged a late fee. A few days later, they receive a notice in the email that says, we still haven't received payment. Please, in order to avoid being redirected to our customer portal, make a payment. And then if they don't do anything with that, on whatever day the customer decides, it might be 7 days or 15 days after the invoice was due, the customer is automatically redirected to the customer portal. So the only thing they can do at that point is make a payment. The advantage of that, of course, is that by the 15th of the month, your accounts receivable is 0. And if you are running a one-man shop, a two-man shop, or even a three-man shop, you really don't want to waste a whole bunch of time going out doing accounts receivable. It takes care of itself. AR is a thing of the past. It's all completely automated. As you can also see over here, I have known issues. These are trouble tickets that have been created, and you can see we have different kinds of trouble tickets. If they are pink, that means that the severity level has been identified to be critical to the network and or to the specific customers. If they are yellow, that means that they're high, and then if they have no real color to them other than the repeating gray and white, then that means that they are low or moderate in terms of importance or in terms of severity. We also have some escalation levels associated with these yet. I don't know that this is working. I have not been able to get a verification that the escalation stuff is working. But basically what the escalation stuff is supposed to do is you give it an escalation, and then if this trouble ticket is not completed by a certain time, then it pushes it off to the next guy. Well, there's a little dude right up here at the top, and you can see that he's got a number 2 next to him. So if I have a message that's outstanding, for example, one of these trouble tickets becomes my responsibility, it actually will be displayable on this location up here. You can click that, you can see what all your trouble tickets are, you can go check the trouble tickets, and then you can work them from there. And so that's what the little dude is up here in the top left. Okay, so those are trouble tickets. You can see that they've got escalations, and you can see all the things that are currently causing a problem with either customers or network outages. Now notice that this is a network component right up here. It's got a critical outage. That outage is in fact affecting some people and being able to get internet service. And so anybody that's attached to this network component, where this network component is not working, on their customer page, they will, our customer service representatives will be able to immediately identify that there's a trouble ticket that's been created for the internet on that location, and that this person who just called in can't get internet service because of that reason right there. And then over here on the right-hand side, you can see we got scheduled appointments. I don't have any scheduled appointments currently existing underneath here. As I create a work order for today, we'll come back and we'll see that that little work order shows up underneath here. And when the technician's out in the field, he can actually open that work order directly from the dashboard, and it'll show up underneath here. He can click on it. He can also get driving instructions from that location. There's some features that we're going to be adding. One of them is a dispatch feature. So we're going to be able to follow trucks on the map, figure out where your service technicians are actually located on the map, and keep historical records of where they've been and what they're doing. And we're also going to have dispatching capabilities in the program as well. That's on the roadmap. They never tell me when these things are going to be released. That way I can't tell you, and that way you don't have any, unfortunate expectations on when their stuff is going to be available to you. But as we release items and features, this program resides on the CDN, the Azure CDN, which is basically a Microsoft distributed network that is global. And so if you're in Zaire, if you're in Australia, if you're in, I don't know, that's pretty much A to Z, isn't it? Then you can actually, you can download this application, because it is a cloud-based application. You can download it just like it's on a server in your town, because the odds are it probably is on a server that's close to your town, and then you don't have to come back across the states in order to get to our server location. This is distributed. It's all across the globe on the Azure network. And then last but not least, down here underneath, we have an events calendar. As we start adding events, you're going to see that the technician will actually show up. It'll look a lot like your Google Calendar, and so you can see what's supposed to be done, who's supposed to be doing it. You can make some modifications. You can block out some time. It does not currently connect to the Google Calendars. It is, however, created in the iCal standard, which is the standard that everybody uses for calendaring. We just haven't had sufficient bandwidth on our engineers to get it to completely tie to the Google Calendar yet. Is that on our roadmap? Absolutely. Don't ask me when it's going to come complete, because they don't tell me that. Okay, so that's basically the dashboard. What I want to do is I want to jump over here and I want to show you what kind of things there are in this accordion file. Okay, so in this accordion file, you have the dashboard, of course, and there's a configuration above the dashboard where you can click on this little flag, and it'll actually let you set up and select the items that you want to put on the dashboard. I'm not going to take you there. It's just kind of a note thing. Okay, and then we have customers. So in this, we have customers, ticketing, work orders, network components, inventory, reporting, calendaring, and then admin. Under admin, it's the kind of things that you would expect. You can create users, roles. You can put in a whole bunch of different kinds of settings. There's some billing admin in there. So so under the admin, there's billing settings and, just basic normal default type settings. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to jump back. I'm just going to give you a quick brief on all of the little elements, and then I'll come back and I'll show you some of them. So for example, this is sales and prospects. You can add a sales prospect, or you can search for sales prospects. Same thing with customers and plans. You can search for them or you can add them. Under ticketing, you can search for a ticket, you can add a ticket, or you can adjust some of the settings on your ticketing. Under work orders, same sort of thing. You can find them, you can make them, or you can create settings for them. Under the network stuff, we have some very interesting things. We have maps that show you where your network is, and if I was running a NOC, I probably would have these kinds of things displayed on the maps at all times, right? So you can see which components are active, which ones are live. This is all live data. At most, it's 30 to 60 seconds late, but that can even be adjusted to be faster if you need it to be. Okay, so this is a network monitoring. There's a bunch of tools on this page. For example, you can find an address. You can also qualify a particular location from this particular plate. You can also manage your network from here. You can add devices. You can look at the devices. Asset locations are basically where towers are or network operating centers. So we have to know what the physical geological location of those things are. For example, why do I need to know where a tower is? Or why do I need to know where my customers are? The answer is twofold. The first one is this is a very much line of sight type business. If I can see the tower, if I can see the access point, I can get service on that access point. It doesn't matter if it's 5 miles away or if it's 3 miles away. If I can see it, I can get service on it. So line of sight is important. So we use the fact that we know what the ground terrain looks like. We also know what the clutter looks like. And so we're able to tell the customer service representative right away whether or not a customer can get service on a particular network. That is an incredible advantage above and beyond what most other companies are able to do. Nobody else has that feature built into their application. And it saves tremendous amounts of time. So you don't have to do callbacks, you don't have to do site surveys. You can onboard a new customer in about 5 or 6 minutes. That includes gathering all the information, creating the work order, upselling the service plans, selling them a wireless router, and hanging up the phone. And then everything from that point forward is automated. The work order gets emailed to the technician, a welcome letter gets emailed to the customer, a service notification gets emailed to the customer, and so now the technician goes out and does the work. Because he has the work order on his phone, he can find it, he can select pieces of equipment out of inventory and move them from his truck in the inventory to the house in the inventory. He can pick IP addresses and MAC addresses. He can do all of that remotely with the phone that he's currently carrying. Okay, so we can add inserts as you'd expect. You can have a variety of other things here. We have some IP management, and we have some monitoring capabilities at this location. And then down here under inventory, the same sorts of things. Inventory comes in 4 pieces. First of all, we need to know who your vendors are. Secondly, we need to know all of the UPC codes for everything that you're currently using. Now, we have some very vast databases of the general UPC and description codes for most of the vendors. And so if somebody says we're using these things, and we can actually pick the kinds of information that comes from the vendors based on the UPC and the description. Once you know the vendors and the UPC codes, then you can actually create a purchase order. You can track the purchase order against a purchase order number. You can see all of the equipment that came in on that particular purchase order when you do an inventory search. In addition, if you want to add a piece of inventory, let's say I buy 50 pieces of something, it's all the same thing. As it's coming into your receiving and shipping, you can barcode scan it in. So now it knows that it's got the equipment that's coming in. And then when it goes out onto a truck, you can barcode scan it out, put it on the guy's truck. When he actually takes it off the truck, puts it on the house or the tower, then when he does that on a work order, it actually will move it off of his truck and put it onto the particular location, whether it's a tower or whether it's a house. That's inventory. We have a whole bunch of reporting that goes with inventory. And so under standard reports, as you can imagine, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of inventory, total expense by category, total expense. We're also in a position where we can write you some new reports if you want us to do that. On our development board, we really need to be in a position where the customer can create their own reports. And so one of the items that we have on our development board is a reporting option so that they can select, manufacture, modify, correct, update, make it look beautiful. The odds are we're probably going to buy that as a third-party add-on so that we don't actually have to create that. But we don't have that right now. So if right now you need a report, you need to ask us if it's not in just some of the standard reporting. So here's all the different kinds of reports that we have. I think there's 7 or 11 of them there. We also have some customer-related reports, active customers, all customers, hotspot customers, usage, data usage reports, and so forth. And then under the financial section, I think we have like 17 different kinds of financial reports. If somebody wants something, all they got to do is ask us for it, and we'll create it and throw it on here. If it's useful to everybody, then it'll get done quickly. If it's not useful to everybody, then it's going to take a little while. It's going to have to sit in the queue. We have a section over here called calendar. Well, this is just a repeat of the other thing. You can add things. You can add events to the calendar. You can block yourself off as a technician and say, hey, I'm going to take 2 weeks of vacation from here to here. Don't schedule me anything, those kinds of things. You can do that from the calendaring section. Last but not least, under the billing section or the admin section, we have billing systems. And we have actually billing plans under this billing section. If I go up here, I have 3 kinds of billing plans. I have internet plans where we're actually providing internet service to the customer. I have other recurring plans, and that would be things like somebody wants to buy a static IP. somebody wants to buy monitoring on a camera, somebody wants to rent a piece of equipment, or I want to charge an equipment lease fee, whatever the case might be. There's all different kinds of other recurring plans, and those are definable by the customer. Last but not least, we have non-recurring plans. Those non-recurring plans would include one-time sales, a wireless router, I don't know, whatever else. We're going to be doing some cellular stuff. If they want to sell them a phone, they can do that. Whatever the case might be, as you can see, that's probably where that would fall in. A basic installation, when we first started our company, we were doing basic installations for $199 a month. That would fall under a non-recurring plan. And then finally, we obviously can take different kind of tax reports. We have a very strong tax engine. We can give you your sales and use tax reports very quickly. And then down here towards the bottom, we have system settings, defaults. These are all the different kinds of letters that we push out. So these are all automated letters that go out depending upon the event that just occurred. If somebody was just installed for the first time, they're going to get an account open letter. And on the account open letter, I don't even know if we've got any loaded here, but you can put in anything you want on this letter using HTML format. Very simple, very easy. It gets pushed out. You can also include variable names. So if you want to tell, want to send a letter based on a guy's first name and last name, you can do that. If you want to add his address, you want to make it look like a letter, whatever the case might be, you can do all of those things from this location. Down here under provisioning, now as I told you before, we are completely equipment agnostic. So if you're running a bunch of Cambium equipment, no problem, we can support that. Telrad, which is an LTE wireless equipment manufacturer, says that we are the only ones right now that can support the infrastructure for Telrad. Now, why is that important? Well, LTE is where everything is going, and they happen to be the leading provider of LTE equipment in the United States, at least. It's a little company out of Israel, and when they tell people, that are looking for billing systems and so forth, they give them our name because we're the ones that they claim that can support their stuff. So underneath all of these different kinds of scripts, we can create all different kinds of scripts. And I know this is going to look like Greek to you. It does look like Greek to me. So for example, we will reach into a guy's network using a virtual private network. We'll go in on one of his core routers, and from there we can monitor his network. We can redirect customers who haven't paid their bills and are being redirected. We can suspend people, unsuspend people, put people on hold. And so there's a whole vast variety of things that we can do based on the provisioning that we want to do for that customer on their network. So for example, we've got a company named Indigo. They are of all the F-block players, they actually went ahead and deployed their cellular system out in, I can't even remember where they're located. But Indigo is a cellular network, and we're going to be supporting their cellular activities. They're going to move all of their cellular work over to us. What other technologies can we support? Well, right now, wireless is our bread and butter. Okay? We can also do basic CMTS, which is cable television. We definitely can do DSL and dial-up because those are old, antiquated systems, but we can completely support them. We are headed towards fiber. And on the fiber, we already can take information with regards to fiber. So we have customers that have fiber customers, and we are supporting their fiber needs, at least currently. On our development page, we also will be, there's another set of software out there called Firestorm. I think it's called Firestorm. We are attempting to emulate Firestorm. And so what that is, and you're probably more familiar with this than I am. It shows you maps. It shows you where all the different color bundles and all that kind of stuff. We are moving in that direction to be able to provide this same functionality on this program and on a separate standalone program. That's where we're headed with both of those applications. That again is a function of target, time on target for our engineers. We just need more engineers to finish up the work. And I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. Last but not least, you can see that there's a user admin, and you can look at roles, different kinds of roles. So you can create a role, and you can identify all the different elements associated with the role for the particular role that you're developing. In addition, it'll give you dashboard settings that those particular roles are allowed to have. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump up here and I'm going to create a sales contact. So this is day-to-day operation type stuff now. I'm going to add a sales contact. So I'm just going to put in here Dolly Parton. I think she lives in Texas. Okay, and then she's at 3657 Carroll's Court. And this is in Burleson, Texas. And let's see, the postal zip there is 76140. And her email is cp@yahoo.com. Notice, by the way, when I put in the zip code, it actually located where that customer was over here on the map on the right-hand side. So I can immediately start getting a sense of this customer's over here on the right-hand side. He's close to some of our access points. And I can start thinking about being able to provide service to Ms. Parton. We'll go ahead and grab some phone numbers. That was a contact number. This is just a cell number. And then if they have a work number, that's fine. You can grab it too. We identify the referral source. These drop-down menus, for most of these drop-down menus, are default setted. So if you want to run a marketing campaign and you want to keep track of everybody that calls in on that marketing campaign, you would just pick out marketing campaign, July 2016. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and put it was a door hanger. And then last but not least, I have to select this customer as a prospect. I'm going to save the data. So at this point, the total invested time is about 30 to 60 seconds to get all this data from the customer. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the self-qualification. I'm going to do a qualification on this device. So I have two buttons over here on the left. The first one says edit using the map. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to put this on hybrid. And again, you have to remember that this is not like any cable network that you've got. We are very dependent upon where this customer actually resides and lives and where we're going to provide the service. The guy, notice that it put it right in the middle of the road. Well, obviously, we're not going to provide service to the middle of the road, and I have seen it where you could get service in the middle of the road, but you couldn't get service on the guy's house because it was buried in trees. So what I'm going to do is you guys still there?
Yeah. I'm sure.
Okay, good. Sorry, my phone just did something bizarre. I just want to make sure you were still there.
Hey,
Okay,
let me see if Joe's still there. Hey, Joe, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Okay, Joe, I'm glad you're still here. Hey, was that you snoring that I heard? That wasn't you, was it? Okay.
No, that was not me.
I was just kidding, Joe. You know that, right? I'm just kidding. Okay, so this guy that says he's talking to us, he says he lives over here, and it's on this big barn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the service right on top of the guy's big barn. So if I can zoom in a little more. Yeah, okay, that's it. So you can see the truck. You can see where it is. I'm going to put it right on the roof line. Okay, so it's exactly where it's going to be when the technician goes out there and does an installation. So I'm going to click this button on the left-hand side that says click when done, and I will do that. So it's now, I've saved it. Okay, now I'm going to qualify this guy. Are there, in fact, any services that I can provide to this guy at that location? He's going to be about 35 feet off the ground, and I'm going to tell it go. So now, I'm going to put this back on screen so you can kind of see what we're doing. And so there are, in fact, in this case, 3 towers that can provide service to this guy's location. I'm coming down in this gray band. That's the first access point. Notice it's probably a 120-degree sector. You can see where the coverage is. Right down the center of the antenna is the strongest signal. The edge of this gray area is actually half power, 3 dB down, and that's half power. I also have this light teal one right here that I can provide service on. And then last but not least, I've got this green one that I can provide service on. Now, remember, we said that in 2.4 gigahertz and 5.8 gigahertz, you have to have a line of sight in order to provide guaranteed high-quality service. Doesn't matter how far away they are. If you can see it, you can provide service to it. So this is where the sales representative would look at this. The tower is on the left. This is a map, by the way. This is Country Vista 1. So this is from this tower here to that location right there. And so this is the profile from Country Vista 1 to the guy's house. It's a distance of 1.49 miles. fine, no problem. We can hit that without any trouble. Notice that the red line is actually at the elevation of the access point, and it comes down here, crosses across 1.5 miles, and it ends up at the guy's house over here on the right. There's no incursion into the line of sight. The blue line really doesn't matter. Forget it right now. It really doesn't matter. The area underneath has 2 shaded areas. The light-colored shaded area is actually the ground clutter, and then the area underneath that is actually the terrain. So the terrain would definitely affect the service, right? So if we look down here, you can see that I'm almost clipping the terrain down here on this, that's Web Rocket 3. We're almost clipping the terrain right there, and you really don't want to be that close to terrain. And so the bottom one, no do. The top one, absolutely. We can provide service probably on DE05, and we can provide service on CV1. So I tell the customer, and again, I'm now about 90 seconds into this application. By the way, we don't store this data. This data has to be calculated. So when we actually do these calculations, we go through and we look at tons and tons of terrain data and tons of clutter data. We find the straight line between, we figure out what the elevation is, we figure out what the clutter is, and then we deposit that all on the map so you can see it. So I have all of this really fine stuff. I don't have to do a site survey. I know I can provide service to this guy, not a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and create a work order from this location. So I come down to the bottom of this application and I click on the work order button, and it brings up a work order template. It's supposed to bring up a work order template. If you watch the hat, the rabbit will appear. Okay, there it is. Hey, look, very good. Okay, I'm thankful for rabbits and hats and stuff. Otherwise, that would have been kind of a dull period waiting for the thing to pop up. So we're going to edit this work order. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is notice that all of the contact information from the sales contact was automatically deposited. The first thing I have to do is I have to pick a date and a time. So a date and a time and a technician. So I'm going to go out and do the work. This is me actually. Notice that all your technicians have different colors. And so when we actually create those, it'll show up in different color bands on the calendar. There's a different color. I'm going to make today's the date. I don't even know what day it is. It's Wednesday, okay? So we're going to start this at 1 p.m. Okay, and we'll probably, normally it takes about 2 hours to get an installation done. So I'll make that finishing up around 3 o'clock. Obviously, at this point, it would be very nice to have a dispatch system in here so that it would tell me when this guy is available instead of me selecting a time. But what normally happens is you will see all of the open availability on here, and we have ways around the dispatch issue. So, but it's coming. It's on the list. Oh, did I click that? Okay, so I'm supposed to click the, okay, so I did. We're supposed to click the event, and that saves the date and the time. So you can see the date and the time and the person that's actually doing the work. You can see that I'm the guy that's doing the work. This is the day and time we're going to start. Now, I will, as soon as I save this work order, the technician will receive a notification on his phone that he now has a work order scheduled for that particular date and time. It'll also adjust the calendars. So nothing on the contact. I'm going to go over to billing. The billing, the contact information is exactly the same as the billing information. I'm going to put this on that particular company. It automatically fills in some basic information on the work order, like it's going to fill in that I'm going to get an emailed invoice for this customer. The invoice date is normally going to be on the 20th. The charge date is on the 1st. I'll just go ahead and give this customer a username and a password. And okay, and then if you have a credit card, now's a good time to get the credit card from the customer. Go ahead and type it in here, and everything's good, but I don't have a credit card that I want to show or put on here. So I'm just going to actually wipe that out, make it check cash. By the way, you can make it a credit card, or you can make it an electronic check, or you can make it check cash. In this case, it's just going to be check cash. A lot of the companies in the third world are now asking us to be able to do tokenization. So basically, the cafe on the corner sells a token. The guy takes the token home, plugs it in. We used to do that in our old application. We're going to carry and port that functionality over to this one as well. Okay, so that's the billing. I'm going to go ahead and now talk to my customer about what kind of service plan does he want. He wants a basic residential service plan 1. After a bunch of talking and figuring out that he's got a whole bunch of teenagers at his house, he's decided to go with a residential family 3. And then normally I wouldn't show you this piece, but I'm going to show it to you anyhow now. You can add some additional plans. So for example, there's going to be a basic installation charge. We're going to charge him for an equipment rental or a wireless router. And then he also wants an email account or some cable expense. That's good enough. I'll just get rid of that. Okay, so he's going to get the installation charge, he's going to get the wireless router, he's also going to get the family service packages. It's going to be prorated between today's date and the 1st of the month, so that when he gets an invoice, it'll be prorated from today to the 1st of the month. And so finally, I'm going to go in here as a technician. Notice that we have the opportunity to create a wireless plan, and there's a whole bunch of fields for wireless information, or we can create a fiber plan. And so now I'm looking at OLTs, MSTs, picking the MST port, putting in the ONU and ONT IPs, and so we're able to track the data. We can't display it yet, but we can track it. And so we also can do DSL. So there's a whole different combination of search criteria for DSL. Cable, we can put in cable, and we are running cable out of South Texas right now. And we also can put in Ethernet. As you can see, the Ethernets are somewhat different as well. And then last but not least, all the dial-up requirements. But in this case, we're going to go with wireless. So I'm going to pick a wireless solution. I'm going to pick the company that it's associated with. I'm going to pick a site. I'm going to pick Rendon. I'm going to put it on the DE05 access point. It automatically identifies the router at the DE05 access point. And then I'm going to pick an IP address out of my IP address pool. So I'll just pick whatever is the closest one here at the top. And so that'll be that'll be 10.0.0.2.6. The advantage of having an IP address system is that it won't let you use the same IP address in multiple instances. And so one IP address, one customer, one IP address. Necessary and efficient, unique, and mono increasing. So there you go. And then last but not least, I'll come down here, I'll pick the piece of equipment that I have on my truck. I'm just going to pick anything here. All right, that one's as good as any. And then if you're bridging the equipment on the roof, doesn't matter, I'm not going to go into that. There's an important button right here. So once again, the technician can be doing this on his Android or on his iPhone. This pre-provision button down here is extremely important because he's standing in the driveway, he hasn't gotten on the roof, he's already selected the piece of equipment that's coming off of his truck, he's already selected the IP address for the piece of equipment that's coming off his truck. He can hit that pre-provision button on his phone, and what this will do is it will do everything. It'll move the piece of equipment from the inventory and put it on the guy's house. It will also look at the service plan that the guy has, and it will configure the network so when we turn this thing on, plug it in, turn it on, plug it into his computer, it's already configured for the service plan that the guy has already chosen to use. And so that's an extreme advantage because now he can get up there, run the cables inside the house, turn it on, and the system is working exactly the way it was supposed to be configured. So now he can do some basic sampling, making sure that everything is working, and all the things that are associated with that. And so I'm going to go ahead and complete this work order. Actually, if I was a technician at this point, I would in fact go ahead and complete the work order once I get it all installed. And then I can put in some notes, write in some notes. If I've been taking pictures of the installation with my cell phone, okay, I can upload all of those pictures now to the customer. I could upload a picture of every penetration I made in the house. I can upload the equipment the way it's been mounted on the roof. I can take a shot downfield and see that I really can see that tower down there. And so I can do all of this, and I can add that to the customer's panel. So going forward, if there's ever a question about what's going on, something isn't working, you can actually see the installation, that's the job that was done by the technician. You can use it for QA, you can use it for quality control, You can use it for insurance purposes. Whatever the case might be, it's very nice to have some pictures. Okay, and so last but not least, we're going to go ahead and complete the work order. When I complete the work order, it's going to create the invoices. It's also going to move it from a work order that's currently open to one that's finished. It will also lock down all of the network connections. It will also give me the opportunity to do some real quick testing before I close out this work order. I can now sit in front of the computer. I can run the different numbers and stuff on the computer. I can see what the uplink speeds are. I can check, receive signal strengths. So it came in at neg 68 dBi. The ping, I pinged the internet. I pinged the internet at 23 milliseconds. So what I'm basically doing is I'm baselining the installation. The install came in at 4.25 megabit up. The downlink came in at 12.68 down. The installation type was a roof with an attic. The condition of the equipment when it went on was new. If I had any notes, I could say, watch out for the dog in the backyard. Named Peaches. Okay, so you can put in some notes. The last thing that you want to do is you want to get the customer to sign the contract. So on your iPhone, on your Android, on your tablet, the customer now can use his finger and sign away his life. And so now I am responsible, I'm managing, I'm monitoring these contracts. So if the guy closes his service early, I can charge him a late fee and all the kinds of things that go with that. So now it's finished. I should be getting an email here shortly showing me a couple things. The welcome letter, the invoice that was sent to the customer. I was also a technician. I'll probably get a notice on that as well. Well, once again, this is our development server, and so, oh, did I finish it? I thought I finished it. Okay, so sorry, I didn't click on that, I guess. So now I'm saving the work order. I don't know if it's going to save. I know that they were working some stuff on the Azure network, and I'm not sure it's going to save, but it might or it might not. Let's see. Okay, great. I'll tell you what, while it's trying to decide that it really does want to save all the data that I just gave it, do you have any questions, Joe? Is there anything on the broad order that I can help you with? By the way, it said it saved that. It saved it. Let me go see if it actually put the customer in the database.
No questions right now, but I'm sure we'll have a bunch later on.
Okay. Chad, are you still with us? Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Now, there's some obvious questions, and I'll just answer them for you. Here's our billing. This is what we charge. So this is our website, and you can see that it's also fully responsive. I can figure out how to close it back down. It's also fully responsive, so people looking for internet service that just bought a home and they're using their phone, they can actually get our website. Let me minimize that. They can actually see our website on their phone or their tablet, and so they can also get pricing information. Pricing is down here towards the bottom, and so there's all of our pricing information. There's some, just some showcased application hints and a variety of things like that. Training is fully automated. Well, it will be fully automated. As soon as I get it finished, it's burning up a lot of my weekend and nighttime. But as soon as the training manuals are finished, it'll be fully automated. It'll be running on something called ProProps, so we can actually keep track of specific individuals as they're training. Now, the last thing I will do, Joe, is I'll give you my phone number. My phone number is 817-829-7214. Again, 817-829-7214. If you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me.
All right, thank you.
All right. Was that sufficiently comprehensive?
Yes, very much so.
Right. Now, I've probably shown you about 70% of what the programs can do. There's a lot of little nuanced stuff in there that wouldn't make any difference to you because unless you're a WISP, you really wouldn't care less. And so I'm going to let that go. If there's anything that I can do for you, talk to somebody, present a demo, if you would please call Georgette. She's really the one to contact if you have some sales leads or whatever the case might be. Georgette's phone number is 817. Let's see, it's 817-764-0956. Again, 817-764-0956. Georgette is one of our account reps, and she is responsible for doing data integration. So that would be and she's also helping me, thank heavens, with all of my scheduling and all the demos. And at some point, she's going to be, given the reins and asked to do these demos. But it won't be today or tomorrow. But maybe Friday.
Simmer down now.
Okay, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. Again, Joe, I feel like I've dominated the discussion, but again, if there's anything I can do for you or you need to reach out to Georgia, please do so.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, bye.